Welcome. My name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. You can find more information about projects that I make on my blog at stampingwithhart.blogspot.com. These two cards were made with the Window Wishes bundle. This is the stamp set. These are the coordinating dies. And I did cut the dies out so that you guys could get kind of a good look at all of the different elements and pieces that you have to work with between the stamp set and the dies. I think that this is going to be such a good, solid bundle that you can use all throughout the year for whatever occasion that you want. But I couldn't wait to try this with all of the, upcoming seasons. So if you didn't already see, I made a Christmas card with this bundle, and I have the replay for this if anybody is interested. But today we're going to be working on fall. So we're going to be mixing it up. I'm going to do Christmas in July throughout the month, but we are going to kind of go back and forth to other seasons. And the great thing about this particular layout is that this could very easily be summer too. So we're going to recreate these cards tonight. I actually did pre-cut. I think I pre-cut everything. Okay, so before I fully jump into the tutorial here, I wanted to mention that there is actually a free project sheet. If you are interested in getting the free project sheet, there is a link in the description below this video. I also have the link available on my blog, so you can go to either place if you are interested in getting the project sheet. It will include photos, instructions, as well as the measurements for each one of the two cards that you are seeing on screen here. And again, the products are Rings of Love, Gingham Cottage, and the Window Wishes bundle. Okay, so the color scheme that we're going to be working with here is actually Calypso Coral. And then this is Daffodil Delight. We have Soft Suede here. And then some of the elements that kind of brought out the colors were from the designer series paper from Rings of Love. So I'll show you the whole sheet, but I actually fussy cut just a couple of accent pieces out to go with this particular layout. Let me show you them before I forget, before I start really talking. So this is the sheet. If you guys haven't seen Rings of Love up close yet, this is in the Sale-a-Bration brochure. This is a free 12 by 12 paper pack when you spend $50 or more before tax. So this could be a great layering piece, but you can also make these embellishments basically, and that's what I chose to do with this card. So one thing that I noticed about this is that these blend beautifully with the Gingham Cottage designer series paper. So the particular sheet that I used for Gingham Cottage was this bright yellow, which of course is our Daffodil Delight. And you could do the reverse side if you want to. So entirely up to you. I'll reverse it so you can see what the reverse side would look like. It's a little bit on the more subtle soft side, right? But you could, very easily work either side with this layout. So the thought process behind this was, I think the Gingham Cottage is also going to be working just all throughout the year. I know I'll be using it all year. But this layout is very simple, very flat. So there's nothing, if you like to mail flat cards, this is a nice, flat, simple card that you can send. And then this one is stepped up a little bit, right? So this one's a little bit fancier. We definitely have some layers going on here. We have a little bit more happening with the stamping, but we're actually going to stamp both window scenes together. So that's what we're going to do, and then we'll assemble these cards. So I'm going to start with this one, and I chose Beauty of Friendship. This is available in the annual catalog. I love this set. I use it all the time. I think you could do all 4 seasons with this easily. And you can create your window scene with maybe a stamp set you already have, or if you're interested in getting a set like this. This is a layering stamp for trees, which creates really interesting color combinations. And then for window wishes, this is a scene from Window Wishes. So we're using the house, we're using the slope here, and we're just kind of coloring this in. We're using the roof on this stamp set. And then I borrowed Thank You from Beauty of Friendship, and I borrowed From Our Hearts to Yours for the bigger tree. So kind of swapped out the sentiments there, but you could use whatever, what you would be most comfortable with. But this could be, all occasion, all season. So I'm going to start with the simpler card, and then we'll do the fancier card. And then I just added 2 of these gold pearls from the Festive Pearls pack. So these right here, they're all the same size, 4 different colors. They're so beautiful.
Okay, so I decided to speed up this video, but you guys will see it's not sped up very much. So just a little quicker paced than usual. These 2 cards are relatively easy to make. The first card is especially fast. So what I just decided to do was, add some voiceover and kind of walk you through the steps here. But like I said, there is a free project sheet as well if you like to have written instructions to go along with these video tutorials. So there was a piece that I had forgotten to cut, so I'm just trimming that down. And I ended up cutting this piece slightly larger than the piece on my original card. So the free project sheet will reflect the instructions of the first card, but I'll make a note of the measurement that I did for the second card as well. So here it's just a very basic layout. I wanted to have a white border, almost like a white frame around the Gingham Cottage. And now I am just trying to work on my placement. So it's helpful to kind of put that window piece back in place so that you can stamp your scene and get your layout. I decided to try crushed curry. The first tree that you see the sample card there had Daffodil Delight. And I wanted it to look a little more fallish, a little deeper of a yellow. So I did crushed curry. And for the overlay for the second tree piece, because this is a 2-step stamp, Beauty of Friendship, I added Poppy Parade. The reason that I chose those 2 colors is because Rings of Love has those 2 colors with their fall color combination this year. So I thought, let me try that for the tree. So as I was taking a look at it, I just thought that the tree looked a little sparse. It's full, there's a lot of color there, but I did want to add in that brighter yellow. So I did end up going back to Daffodil Delight and adding another stamp of the Daffodil Delight. And I chose the Fuller Tree stamp, the base stamp, to stamp that color down. And I felt like that tree looked much more rich. So that ends up having Crushed Curry, Daffodil Delight, and Poppy Parade. And putting that Daffodil Delight over the Poppy Parade kind of muted it a little bit, made it a little bit more of an orangey red as opposed to just yellow and red on top. So what I did was I stamped my sentiment, but you guys, you can learn from my mistakes. So the thing that you want to do that I didn't do, and I'll note this in the project sheet as well, is you want to make sure that the frame is in place. Even though you don't glue it down yet, make sure that the frame is in place before you stamp your sentiment. I stamped the sentiment before I put the frame in, and because I did that, I ended up having to push everything higher. Now, it was not really a big deal. It was totally fine. You really wouldn't notice it, right away, or you could always put like an embellishment down at the bottom where there's that extra strip of basic white, but normally that would have been centered. I tend to like to center my projects, so just something to keep in mind. It was really fine. I mean, you guys can see this is fine, but I wanted to mention that. The other thing that I wanted to mention was the original card had crumb cake frame, and the card I just did here had soft suede. I like to do different color combos or, switch out for a slightly darker color just so that we can see what the differences are. So you could decide which layout you like better. Now here, what I'm doing is I have my blending brush and my sponge dauber. These are both available as tools in the annual catalog. The blending brushes come in a set of 3. The sponge daubers come in a set of 5, and you can choose what works best for you, or you could use both like I am here. With this window scene, I am creating a sky. This is balmy blue ink. I am tapping off my blending brush before going to the paper, and that's so that I don't end up with like a dark blue, blot right in the middle of the paper. So it just creates sort of a softer look. I'm going about 3/4 of the way down because it's mostly going to be sky there. Now for my house, I'm going to stamp in crushed curry because again, I am going for that fall look. This could very easily be summer as well, but I wanted that deeper yellow. And the roof is going to be in soft suede. So you can see from the artwork of this stamp that the house is already built in on a slope, which makes it really easy to match up the slope stamp that you're going to see here in a minute. But I'm going to stamp the house on, and I love builder scene stamps. I don't know if you guys do. I love them. It's so fun to kind of create that scene. So here's that slope stamp that I was talking about. There's 2 of them in the Window Wishes stamp set. I'm using Evening Evergreen to create our hills today. So we're just going to stamp that slope. I'm going to line it up with the house. The thicker side is the side that lines up with the house and then kind of slopes downward. So I'm just matching up those lines, and we're going to go ahead and stamp. I decided to come in with a second stamp with the reverse side. On the original card, the slope is lower. It's a little more flat. And on the card that I'm stamping live, and this is the replay, of course, I have it a little more, it's higher. So you can decide which layout you like better. So now I'm coming in with my sponge dauber with Evening Evergreen. Evening Evergreen is a very deep, dark, rich green. So by using the sponge dauber, you're getting the intensity of the color, but you can also do variations, like a little bit of a softer version of Evening Evergreen instead of it being the full-blown color. And I like that look. I just think that that has a very distinct, pretty look to it. You can get, if you look at the sky versus the grass, 2 completely different looks with blending. You can see that the sky is very soft, looks very evenly blended, very smooth. And then with the grass, it has a very distinct look, doesn't it? And that's what the sponge dauber does. And I love both looks. I thought it ended up creating a really nice look. So here is my layer in soft suede. You can see I had actually embossed this piece as well as the frame, the window frame on the other card, also in soft suede, with the Timber 3D embossing folder. This is just something that adds some texture and dimension to your cards. It's not necessary, but it is such a nice touch, especially if you are doing nature or wood elements on your card. And now we are going to go ahead and assemble our pieces. So again, if you want to use the reverse side of the gingham paper, it would be just as beautiful of a card. The other side, the gingham, is a little more subtle. It doesn't have those pops of white. And I really like the bold side, so I kept the bold side for both cards. But if you like that softer, smaller check gingham look, then try the reverse side. This is Calypso Coral for the window frames and also for the card base. Now, I decided to just add my scene right over the embossed layer of soft suede. If you want to cut, the center out so that you can fit that in perfectly, that's fine. But it is such a subtle difference, you can't really notice. And normally these pieces of the window, they just kind of click right in, or you'll see them like set right in. But if you have layer upon layer, then it's going to sit slightly on top, which is what happened with this card. Now here, I just wanted to point out that I fussy cut these acorn and leaf patterns from the Rings of Love paper, and they're not all identical. So the cluster was slightly different. I'm also using the Banners Pick-a-Punch to create that edge on my thank you sentiment here. And on this card, I decided to stamp in soft suede. On the original card, thank you is stamped in evening evergreen. So again, just kind of taking a look at those variations. Very, very slight, very subtle difference. I don't know if anybody would notice that right out of the gate. With the cluster that's lower, I readjusted my positioning on the card slightly because the cluster was a little bit different. It was a little bit wider than the original one that I had fussy cut, and that's totally fine. But sometimes you just kind of need to re-angle and reposition. I put a piece of tear and tape down on my thank you banner piece. I don't really know why. You could very easily use these Stampin' Dimensionals. You could use whatever adhesive you want. I popped up these acorn embellishments that I fussy cut from the paper onto Stampin' Dimensionals, and you guys are going to laugh, but I ended up using like so many dimensionals on this little piece, but I just wanted to make sure that it stayed upright. So I grabbed some mini dimensionals for the two little like kind of offshoots of the leaves there. But I love the layout and the look of this card. I think it's such a great fall card to kick off a new season as we start heading into the fall months. I'm just adding a single gold pearl from Festive Pearls to the top of the acorn branch, basically. And, you know, keep in mind that this card could easily be for guys or girls. This is a gender neutral card, in my opinion. And you can, you know, not add the gold pearl if you think that that's a little too fancy, if you plan on sending that to your uncle or brother or cousin or grandpa or dad, you know, but it's such a nice card and layout for so many different occasions. And especially if you are saying thank you to somebody for something that they did for you. So I hope that you enjoyed these cards. Remember, there is a free project sheet download link in the description box below.
Cottage and mint macaron. The inside window piece is actually the Rings of Love paper. I'll show you which piece. This piece here in 12 by 12, there's just houses all over it from top to bottom. And then the other side are these medallions. So always keep your scraps because you could use the other pieces. And then I did use the silver threaded twine sort of as a frame on this one. And then, of course, I used the Thinking of You sentiment with the silver pearls to go with the silver twine. I thought that was really cute. And then this was the card that I have been wanting to make since I saw this in the catalog. I cased this. So this is on, it is page 36. Okay, so here you guys can see on page 36, this really caught my eye when I was going through the catalog. I wanted to create this scene so much. They actually did gold foil rooftops, which, I mean, how perfect is that? I just love, love, love it. They added some sequins here. So this is my version. These were the colors that I chose to do here.
I will do a separate video on the card that I cased for anybody who is interested. I wanted to end this video just saying a few things. If you're still here and you need a catalog and Sale-a-Bration brochure, please email me or direct message me. If you don't already have a demonstrator, I would be happy to send those to you. I also have a new host code for the month of July. I'll pop a picture up here and I will have a link in the description box below. If you spend $50 or more with me in the month of July before tax, I will send you a free embellishment as a thank you. And remember, during Sale-a-Bration in July and August 2022, if you spend $50 or more before tax, you will also qualify for a free Sale-a-Bration item. So that is a great way to get some free products along with your purchases. And the Window Wishes bundle is $50.25 before tax, which means you could choose Rings of Love Designer Series paper as your free item. Thank you so much and stay tuned to the next video. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more.